Hey guys, my name's Nathan Haddad. I'm a black belt under Julio Seneca. Today we're going to talk about some of my favorite attacks from mount. We're going to go over a few different pinning positions. I'll show you some submissions and how I like to chase the back from here. So my partner has made the mistake of giving me mount. The first thing that I like to look at is the idea of holding mount, okay? So I will skydive my hands, and what I'm actually gonna do as I bring my hands out and wide, I'll pull my heels up to my butt, okay? So kind of like I'm gonna pray with my feet, like I'm putting the bottoms of my feet together. Here, I pull my heels to my butt this way rather than grapevining the feet. I don't really like to grapevine the feet here. I like to pull my heels to my butt, making my knees wide. You notice my knees are almost hovering off the floor, and then my hands are nice and wide. And so what this allows me to do is drop my hips right into my partner's chest and put a whole lot of pressure on him. Here, there's not much pressure on Max at all, but when I pull my feet to my butt this way, I put a significant amount of pressure on him. So now as Max bridges side to side, it's a pretty easy thing to get my base wide and low and hold those bridges off. Now, the first thing that I like to do when I get in this skydive position is look for a bottom arm pin. So what I like to do when I get here is take my right hand and scoop underneath my partner's head. Okay, I want to go all the way under the neck here, and I take my left hand and I'm going to pin his wrist down to the floor, and I'm going to bring it to my right hand. So I just pull this straight across, I make a nice grip on the wrist, and I immediately pull like I want to put Max's thumb through his neck. I really want to pull this nice and tight, okay? Max is pretty strong from this position where he can get his wrist free, but when I start to gather this closer to his head, as he pulls away, it just makes it significantly tougher. So I like to pull that as tight as I can. Okay, so again, I made my skydive position. I can do this without him doing anything, just scoop and pin, or as he bridges, I just scoop and pin, it's already there. I bring it to my right hand, I pull this nice and tight, and I put my left hand wide. Why I do this is so I can make a cross-face pressure with my right shoulder. I drop my chest in to turn his face, it just puts a lot of pressure on him here. Now, Max can bump and bridge and go nuts here. Usually I can hold on to this, but if I can't, he gets it free, I just swim my left hand underneath. Now I pin everything through. My right hand brings his arm to my left. I post my right hand wide. I shift, look at my chest, shifting everything over to put that cross-face pressure on. So now I have this, what we call a bottom arm pin. Okay, so just one time from this angle here, I skydive, making sure to get my feet involved. As Max bumps, I scoop, pin. Now I catch and bring this to me, I post my hand wide, and I drop my shoulder to make this cross-face pressure here. Okay, so now we have our bottom arm pin. What I generally like to do on the bottom arm pin is start to look to put pressure on Max's shoulder. Now, we can go basic Americana here. So the first thing that I'll teach newer students when they're doing this pin is to take the hand, get the pin, control. Now I take my left hand, I go underneath Max's elbow, and I grab my own wrist. So I have his wrist and my wrist. I can put some pressure on Max's shoulder here by just starting to elevate, but typically it's hard to break my partner from here. So if I'm gonna look to finish Americana, what I wanna do is get his head out of the equation and create a wedge next to his head with my elbow and forearm. And then I take his lats out of the equation by bringing his elbow down and now raising up, okay? So what that'll look like is I get my bottom arm pin, I reach underneath the elbow, I grab my own wrist, and now I unlace Max's head here. Once I have this unlaced, now I can look to finish this. I bring his elbow down to my pocket, and I raise off the floor, keeping his hand pinned the entire time. Okay, so from this angle, we're here. I do my exact bottom arm pin, same way, right? I take my left hand under. Look how I collect at my own wrist. Again, I can put pretty good pressure here, and I have gotten a few taps this way, but it's not a great way to break somebody, and I'll show you why in just a second. But if I want to look to break, I unlace. Look, I go up, left, down. So now my elbow is a wedge in between his arm and his head. Now I start to bring Max's elbow down this way before I raise it up to the sky and get a nice break, strong finish on our Americana. So that's going to be our bottom arm pin from this mount situation. The next thing that I like to do is take my bottom arm pin and I start applying significant pressure without unlacing his head. And what you'll see here is most people will come and look to rescue that arm. Okay, and so what happens is when I get here, like I said, it's hard to get the actual braking pressure, but when I start to lift, nobody's gonna let you just pull on their shoulder unless they're extremely flexible. And if they are, we can move into some different options. But what I like to do is put significant pressure to make Max turn and look to rescue his arm. And when I see this, what I do, come back Max, I raise my chest. So I put this pressure on and I lift my chest up. So now as my partner turns, I drop my chest, capturing his elbow on this side of my body. So now if Max tries to go back flat, it's pretty tough. From here, it's an easy thing. I release my bottom arm pin, and my right hand that was under his head is gonna grab this new wrist. And now my left hand comes outside, I grab my own wrist again, and now we have our top arm pin, a double wrist lock, okay? I'm gonna look now to slide my right knee high and post my left foot. And I finish in S mount with a double wrist lock. Okay, this is generally where I go to chase the back. Okay, so again, we come out, we make our nice pin. I start putting heat on this, and I put enough to make him rescue. If I keep my chest low, reach across Max, he can't go to rescue it. And so now he'll go to different methods, bridging hard, maybe even kicking his hand out, right? But if I'm able to control this and I put heat on it and raise my chest, he'll come and grab. Now I drop, I release, right hand goes to the wrist, my left hand comes out. I don't need this bottom arm anymore, so I take it free. Goes all the way through and collects. Now I slide my right knee high, I post my left foot, I pull him up on his side, and we have all of our S-mount attacks ready here. Okay, one time from this angle, we come in. Nice bottom arm pin. I put heat on this, up, 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 raise my chest. As he drives across, I drop back down. Now, here's a really important factor I think a lot of people miss. When I get here, I don't want to be fumbling with this grip as I'm moving my feet. I see a lot of people go 1, 2, 3. And the problem with that is, if my hands are not connected as I make this transition, Max can slam his elbow to the floor and escape. So what I like for guys to do, once I have this connection, I go right hand, look, go elbow to the floor. He can't. Left hand, go elbow to the floor. He can't. Now I move my feet because his upper body's pinned. And now we're in S-mount and we're ready to get going. Generally what I look to do here is chair sit and attack the back. But we also have tons of options, including arm bars, triangles, arm triangles, however you like to finish mount. Okay, so that's generally how I look to attack off of a top arm pin from mount. Another thing that I like to do from this pin series from mount is be a little bit more reactive, okay? And I see this a lot when guys start getting really good from the bottom, they start getting good escapes. Oftentimes, it is hard to even get to that skydive position, right? I got to mount, my partner's just really tight, I'm having trouble getting my feet involved. What I like to do in this situation, I start putting hands on him, okay? And generally I have a side that I prefer, okay? What I'll do is I'll look to take my left hand and push. And as I'm putting this pressure, I'm lifting my hips and dropping my chest. And what I'm doing is guiding him to elbow escape, okay? And so what you'll see is as I press here and Max goes to elbow escape, I drop my right hand and I drop my chest. And what I've done is exposed his elbow down and across. Okay, and this is generally when a guy is not super diligent about framing on an elbow escape, because most people are gonna look to frame here. So if I can control this hand and Max starts to turn, I drop. That's the position I'm looking for. And now you'll notice, look where we are. My right hand just meets to this top arm, left hand comes underneath, and we slide into our top arm pin. So we can use this as a reactive as well as being proactive. Okay, so here's our reactive measure. My hands are on him, I'm putting weight down. I start to pin, like I'm looking to pin this wrist to the floor. Some guys like to cross pin here, and I think that's great too. What I found I have more success with is going here, and as I drop my same side arm, I drop my chest down with it to catch his elbow. Now my right hand comes underneath. And look, you're not limited here, right? If I get to this position and Max's hand is way out here down by my knee, look, I can take my left hand off. Because my chest is holding his elbow across, my left hand can bring this to me. Now my left hand comes to this top arm pin. Okay, even better if you can just grab it yourself, right? If I can pin and turn and now catch, now look, I can reach. This is great. Now I make my top arm pin, I slide everything nice and high, and we're in S mount. Again, my favorite from here is just to slide and immediately look to chair sit. I think that's our best option. If you like to hold mount or have armbar attacks that you prefer from there, even better. But these are just a few ways that I like to do some bottom and top arm pins from mount. Guys, hopefully you like this video. If you want more just like it, go to getselfdefense.com. We have our full jiu-jitsu library as well as a self-defense course. Tons of options on there. We'll see you guys on the mats.